All right, good morning everyone, good morning. Okay, we'll wait for 1 minute and we'll continue it. Good morning everyone, good morning. Just please confirm me, am I audible to everyone? Everyone, please confirm me, am I audible to everyone? All right. Okay, now let's continue. So if every one of you very quickly recall, in the last class we have actually started discussing about the secondary metabolites. I hope every one of you remember, whenever we are discussing the secondary metabolites, we started understanding there are majorly three classes of the secondary metabolites are there. Good morning, please continue everyone. One is the terpene, second class is the phenols, and the third another important class is nitrogen containing compounds. These are the three classes that we understood actually, right? Okay, I believe every one of you remember what are the two major pathways that are involved in the biosynthesis of a terpene. If everyone quickly recall, one of the pathway is called as the mevalanoic acid pathway, and another pathway is generally said to be what pathway, friends? MEP pathway, which is called as methyl erythritol phosphate pathway. This is what we discussed. Okay, now tell me, Shivani, answer the question. This is the question which came in the afternoon shift in the previous paper of 2024 July. How many number of acetyl CoA molecules are required in order to synthesize the mevalanoic acid? Tell me, Shivani. Others, how many number of acetyl CoA molecules are required to synthesize the mevalanoic acid? This is the question which they asked in the part B, in the before exam, the exam which has happened in the July. How many number of acetyl CoA molecules are generally required to produce mevalanoic acid? I hope every one of you remember very clearly, right? Correct. It's a straightforward and simple question. Forgot it, Shivani. As we all very clearly said that mevalanoic acid is generally how many carbon containing compound? Mevalanoic acid is generally 6 carbon containing compound. I think you forgot, Shivani. Look into that. One acetyl CoA is how many carbon? One acetyl CoA is a 2 carbon containing compound. So in order to produce one mevalanoic acid, how many we require? We require 3 molecules of acetyl CoA. This is the straightforward question that they have asked in the exam. 3 molecules of acetyl CoA come close together and they are going to give rise to the mevalanoic acid. No point of getting confused. It is easy to understand also. And I'll quickly summarize. If you look into the methyl erythritol phosphate pathway, what you remember? There are 3 carbon containing compounds are involved. I hope you all remember. One is called as the glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. Another one is called as the pyruvate. Correct na? Pyruvate is a 3 carbon, as well as the glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate is also a 3 carbon containing compound. Is it or not? So 2 3 carbon containing compound come close together and they are going to give rise to the MEP. I believe all the students remember. Okay, last and final question. Give me the example of a terpene. Give me the example of a terpene that is present in the neem tree which is actively against the pathogenic organisms. I want every one of you to answer the question. Give me the name of the terpene that is present in the neem tree which is extremely active against the pathogen. Everyone. Very good. Please kindly don't forget, friends, it is very important. You all people has to remember for the exam. Okay. The more examples you people remember, more easily you can answer the question. Very good. Azadirachtin is the name of the terpene that is present in the plants. Neem plant, which is active again, is the pathogenic organisms. Very good. Okay, in the last class we just started discussing about the phenols. Okay, every student answer my question. Last and final question: give me the name of the pathway that happens in the fungus which are involved in the biosynthesis of the phenols. Give me the name of the fungus that is involved in the biosynthesis of the phenols. Give me the name of the pathway that happens in the fungus that is involved in the biosynthesis of a phenols. I believe every one of you remember there are two pathways will happen in the biosynthesis of the phenol. One is called as the shikimic acid pathway and another one is called what, friends? Malonic acid pathway. And I told to all of you very clearly, friends, shikimic acid pathway is the significant pathway in the plant, whereas what I told to all of you, malonic acid pathway is the another significant pathway which is exclusively happening only in the fungus. Correct na? There's no point of getting confused over there. I believe, friends, we all people discussed till this particular slide. This is the last slide we all discussed. Okay, now let's start the phenols. Okay. Now please don't get confused and try to remember the major amino acid that is involved in the biosynthesis of the phenols is the phenylalanine. Correct na? Please do not get confused. Phenylalanine is the major amino acid that, good morning. Phenylalanine is the major amino acid that is involved in the biosynthesis of the phenols. Now I hope you all remember this particular phenols are broadly divided into lignin, flavonoid as well as the tannin. Again, it's a kind of a generalized information. Be patient and try to remember everything. Again, in the exam they have asked which is the largest class of the phenols. All the students remember the largest class of the phenol is the flavonoid. Never confuse your friends. The largest class of the phenol is the flavonoid. The flavonoids are broadly divided into anthocyanins, flavones or flavonols, or isoflavones or the isoflavonoids. No point of getting confused over there. I want you to compulsory remember this. Now let's discuss one by one. Requesting everyone, please try to remember maximum amount of the information. Okay, lignin. Okay, if I ask all of you what is the most abundant organic compound on this earth, undoubtedly the most abundant organic compound on this earth is the cellulose, because cellulose is extremely present in the cell walls of the plant, which provide great structural rigidity to the plant. After the cellulose, every one of you understand my point. After the cellulose, the most abundant organic compound is obviously lignin. There is no point of getting confused. Lignin is found in the cell walls of various type of supporting tissues also, as well as the conducting tissues also. No point of getting confused over there. Now, what exactly it will do? It is providing the mechanical rigidity which strengthen vascular tissue. All the students just try to understand what are the vascular tissues, xylem and phloem. Suppose example, friends, if you consider the xylem, what the xylem is actually contains, xylem made up of the parenchyma, as well as xylem is also made up of the tracheiry elements. Now, I believe you all people remember how the water can be transported in the plant. Of course, water can be transported in the plant via tracheiry elements only. We all people commonly know about that. Suppose this is a tracheiry element. If the tracheiry element is not stronger, understand every student very correctly my words. If the tracheiry element is not stronger, what will happen? There is a great possibility that entire water can leak out from the tracheiry elements of the xylem. So that is the reason, in order to provide mechanical rigidity and strength to the vascular tissue, lignin is present in that vascular tissue. Please do not get confused with that particular point. Not only that, physical toughness, this is a very important statement to be remembered. Physical toughness deters feeding by animals. What does it mean, friends? I told you in the last class to all of you. Suppose you see this stem seems to be very thin. What, friends? This stem seems to be very thin. But sometimes the herbivores like a goat or cow, they are unable to break it. Even though it seems to be very thin, even though it seems to be very thin, it cannot be break down. Why? Because it is mechanically extremely stronger. No point of getting confused. How does that physical toughness comes into the picture? That is also because of the lignin only. And some herbivores, what they will do, even though the stem is very physically very stronger, they will break it. They will break it and they start eating it. Even though they start eating it, friends, it never be completely digested, because it can cause the great digestive problems. Don't get confused over there. Okay, listen, friends, don't confuse. The phenols are broadly categorized into three major categories: lignin, second one is flavonoid, and the third one is called as the tannin. We understand the lignin right now. Now let's understand the largest class of the phenols, that is called as the flavonoids. Every one of you try to understand, friends, these flavonoids are further broadly divided into anthocyanins, flavones or flavonols, isoflavones or isoflavonoids. Let's try to understand it very correctly. Flavonoids. Every student, please try to understand me correctly. Just listen correctly. They have given one of the statement in the exam saying that flavonoids are the 20 carbon containing compounds, which is absolutely wrong statement. All the students remember the point correctly. Flavonoids are just 15 carbon containing compounds only. No point of getting confused over there. You can see that there are two benzene rings, 6 plus 6, 12 carbon. Both benzene rings are connected with each other. Can you see that? Both benzene rings are connected with each other by a 3 carbon bridge. That is what exactly we can call it as the 15 carbon containing compound. So it's a 15 carbon containing compound consists of a 2 aromatic rings linked via 3 carbon bridge. No point of getting confused here. And all these flavonoids are broadly divided into three major types: anthocyanin, flavones or flavonols, isoflavones or isoflavonoids. Now let's discuss one by one very elaboratively without having a confusion. Let's focus on the number one. What is this number one? We call it as anthocyanins. Friends, the moment you heard the name of a anthocyanin, what is the common statement that I want you to remember? Anthocyanins are said to be the colored pigments of the plants. What do we can call it? Colored pigments. So whenever I use the word colored pigments, please do not get confused that they are exclusively responsible for the green color of the plant. That statement is absolutely wrong statement. Anthocyanins are not at all responsible for the green color. Instead, anthocyanins are responsible for blue color, red color and purple color observed in the plants. There is no point of getting confused. All the students, what is their significance? Suppose you only try to understand, friends. Suppose example, a leaf is a red in color, example, or some other color apart from the green. So from the long distance, insects will get easily attracted. Insects will get easily attracted and they will come for the process of the pollination and the seed dispersal. So that's why we can say that anthocyanins are basically attracting the animals for the process of pollination also, as well as for the process of seed dispersal also. Now, I don't encourage all of you to remember the structure, but I encourage all of you to remember the structural features, how exactly the structure look like. That is what I want you people to remember here very correctly. If you observe the structure of the anthocyanin very correctly, all the students pay attention towards the structure. Look into this. Anthocyanin, how many aromatic rings are there? 3 aromatic rings are there, but you listen. At the third position, this is the most important statement everyone has to remember. In the exam they may raise the statement. Anthocyanin always at the third position, always. always at the third position it contain only sugar. Always at the third position it only contain the sugar. Suppose you see this picture, instead of the sugar in this particular structure, it generally contain the OH group. What does it contain? It generally contain the OH group. Since it contain the OH group, we cannot call it as the anthocyanin. What we generally call it as? We generally call it as the anthocyanidin. There is no point of getting confused over there. So one is called anthocyanin, another one is called as the anthocyanidin. No point of getting confused here. Now, that is what anthocyanins, easy to understand. Then the next and another very important one, no point of getting confused, that is flavonoids. See, I want to tell you one a specific point. See, you understand the differences between the visible light and UV light. We animals or we humans, we cannot absorb UV light. That is not possible directly. So now every one of you please try to understand. These flavones and flavonols, they can be perceived or they can be absorbed by insects. Now the question is very clear, how? Because this particular insects, they can easily absorb the light in the UV spectrum. So most of the insect, especially bees, they are having the ability to absorb the light exclusively in the UV spectrum. That's why they can act like a attractants for the pollinators. And what is the speciality of these flavones and flavonols? Whatever the flavones and flavonols that are present in the plant, whatever the flavones or flavonols that are present in the plant or a flower, listen everyone, they will always absorb the light of only shorter wavelength. So since flavones and flavonols are absorbing the shorter wavelength, we human beings, we cannot see them. Then who can see that? Only insects can see that, especially bees. Now question is very clear. What is the significance of the flavones and flavonols with respect to the pollination? How they will be involved in the pollination? How they can help? Actually, all the flavones and flavonols are acting as a nectar guides. What is the meaning of a nectar guide actually? So listen, nectar guide means, all the students follow me, symmetric pattern of stripes, concentric circles or spots. This is what exactly we call it as the nectar guides. What does it mean? Suppose example, you take this is a leaf. Okay, inside the leaf, symmetric pattern of stripes like this. They are all very colorful stripes which you can observe, and somewhere we generally call it as the concentric circles. So the concentric circles look like this. They are all the concentric circles. Then followed by, we are having different type of spots also. We are having what? Different type of spots. So these are all generally call it as the nectar guides. There is no point of getting confused over there. So since they are all very much colored, that is the reason they will be helpful in the pollination purpose. No point of getting confused over there. Another very important statement. All the students has to understand this particular statement. Flavonols speciality is what? Flavonols can absorb the UV light also. Flavonols can absorb the visible light also. But the point is very clear. Flavonols never ever stop the visible light. Flavonols will allow the visible light to enter inside the plant, because visible light is extremely important for the process of the photosynthesis and for other processes. But UV light, there is no significance. In fact, it causes harm to the plant. So that's the reason all the students listen. Flavones will block the UV light, but flavones will allow the visible light to enter into the plant without interruption. Look into this. Flavones protect the plant cells from UVB damage, which means whatever the flavones are present in the epidermis of leaves, they absorb UVB light. But what is happening? They are allowing the visible light to pass continuously or to pass uninterruptedly. There is no point of getting confused over there, and it is easy to understand also. So listen, flavones and we already studied in the nitrogen metabolism. Once again, we're gonna read that very elaboratively. All the students remember that point. Whatever the flavones and flavonols that are released into the soil. Suppose example, this is a root hair. Root hair, in order to attract the bacteria, what they will release? They starts releasing something called as the chemoattractants. What are those particular chemoattractants? They will be released into the soil and they will be useful for what purpose? For attracting the bacteria for the process of nitrogen fixation. So flavones and flavonols comes under the category called as the chemoattractants, which are generally attracting the nitrogen fixing bacteria. No point of getting confused. So we read that flavonoids are broadly categorized into three subtypes. One is called as anthocyanin, second one is called flavones or flavonols, and the third one is called isoflavones or isoflavonoids. Now let's look into the third one, isoflavones or isoflavonoids. No point of getting confused, friends. So now let's focus on the picture correctly. I want you to understand a statement or the difference between the isoflavones or isoflavonoids. Sorry, first listen. If you observe the structure of the flavones or flavonols, what you people can observe? Here 3 benzene rings are there. Here also 3 aromatic rings are there. Then what is the difference? Here also 3 aromatic, here also 3 aromatic. The only difference in the isoflavones or isoflavonoid is one of the aromatic ring shifted its position. What, friends? One of the aromatic ring obviously shifting its position. Here you can see that it is located on the top position, whereas here the aromatic ring is located on the downward position. That's the only difference with respect to the structure. So listen, flavonoids in which one aromatic ring is completely shifted. Now, what are the different type of isoflavones or isoflavonoid? Number one is, I want you to remember compulsory for the exam. You can expect this kind of questions very commonly in the exam. Number one, retinoids. Number two, phytolexins. And remember everyone, what are these particular retinoids and what you people has to understand by this particular retinoids? Listen all of you. Retinoid is a type of a flavonoid which is generally having strong insecticidal activity. What is the meaning of a insecticidal activity? If the retinoid is present in the plant, most of the insect cannot attack that particular flower or the plant because it is having powerful insecticidal activity. So it can easily repel or it easily repel the insecticidal activity. I want you to compulsory remember. Some of the flavonoids we call it as phytolexins because these are all the common statement that we people can expect in the exam. What is the speciality of phytolexin, friends? Listen, they are antimicrobial compounds. They act against the bacteria, they act against the fungus also. So that's the reason most of the bacteria and most of the fungus, they cannot attack the plant. They cannot attack the plant where the flavonoids, where the retinoids containing flavonoids are present in the plant. Then some of the flavonoids even they are having anti-estrogenic activity. Now why I am calling they are having anti-estrogenic activity, the reason, see, don't leave the class, okay? This is shows your interest level, okay? When we are discussing a rigid concepts, okay? All concepts are not greatly conceptual. Many concepts to be remembered, many concepts to be understood very clearly and remembering most of the time. So be patient. These are all patience checking chapters. So other flavonoids are what we generally call as anti-estrogenic activity. What is the meaning of an anti-estrogenic activity? Anti-estrogenic activity means their structure resemble to the estrogen, the female hormone estrogen. So it act against the estrogen generally. That's why we can call it anti-estrogenic activity. This also they may rise as a question in the exam. Which of the following secondary metabolites can possess anti-estrogenic activity? What is that? Of course, the flavonoids. Don't get confused. Some of the isoflavonoid even shows the anti-cancer property also. So some of the isoflavonoids are present in the green tea leaves also. Where they are present? They are present in the green tea leaves also. At the same time, they are present in the even soya bean also. There is no point of getting confused over there. I want you to compulsory remember here. Okay, this rotinoid is very commonly asked question in the exam. This rotinoid we will read in the biochemistry also. This rotinoid generally inhibit. What the rotinoid is generally inhibit? The complex 1 of the electron transport chain. I believe you all people remember the electron transport chain contain 4 kind of complexes. Complex 1, complex 2, complex 3, complex 4. Especially the complex 1 get inhibited by this particular rotinoid. Rotinoid is a type of the flavonoids only. No point of getting confused over there. Then last and final class of the phenols. What is that? Which is the tannins. I can tell to all of you one of the very common statement. The common statement is that, friends, tannins can exhibit in different forms. Okay, tannin can exhibit in the different forms. So what is the meaning of exhibiting in a different forms? Suppose example, you take a grape. Okay, if you take a grape, the outer coat of the grape, that is also a type of the tannin. The fleshy or the juicy part that we eat, that is also a tannin. Inside the grape there is a small seed is there. If you break the seed and you convert into powder, that is also a type of the tannin only. That's the reason I am saying that tannins are generally exhibit in different forms. There is no point of getting confused over there, and it is very easy to understand. What are the among different type of tannins? There are 2 tannins which are utmost important. There are 2 type of tannins which are utmost important. One we call it as condensed tannin. Another one is called, friends, hydrolyzable tannin. What is the exact difference between this particular condensed tannin and between this hydrolyzable tannin? I'll tell you in a simple words. All the students, please try to understand what exactly I'm trying to explain to all of you. Condensed tannins, listen all the students, they are formed by the polymerization of the same flavonoid units. What does it mean? All the students, you no need to remember the structure, but just try to understand the structural properties. That's all I want you people to know it. Every student look into this, friends. This is called as the tannin. Sorry, this is called as one flavonoid unit, and this is called as second flavonoid unit, and this is called as third flavonoid unit. Correct na? So what I want you people to observe here, what is the exact difference between these 3? All are, I want you to understand me very correctly, friends, all are belongs to the same unit. This is a flavonoid, this is a flavonoid, this is also a flavonoid, all are same. So what is the point here? Condensed tannins are formed by the polymerization of the same units. Same units. That's the reason we call condensed tannins. And friends, listen, understand my words. Since they are formed by the same units, we can't break them very easily. Let me repeat the point. Since they are formed by the same unit, they cannot be break down very easily. This is the question that we can expect in the exam. If I want to break down this particular condensed tannins, friends, we always required. What we always require? We always required strong acids. If the acid is a mild acid, we cannot break it. It is not at all easy. If I want to break it, compulsory I require these strong acids. There is no point of getting confused over there. Next one, you see this friends, hydrolyzable tannins. Now the movement, no need to remember the structure but understand it. The moment you heard the name of a hydrolyzable tannins, what is the statement you all has to remember? Flavonoid plus sugar. What friends? Flavonoids plus sugars together, they come close together and they are going to give rise to what? Hydrolyzable tannins. Hence, so you can see here, this is the flavonoid and this is the sugar. So both are not same. Since both are different, it is easy to break. That's why even by using dilute acids also, we can easily break them. Now the question is super clear friends. Why condensed tannins require strong acids to break them? Because condensed tannins are made up of the same units. Since they are made up of the same units, we can't break them easily because this bond will be extremely stronger. We can't break it very easily. But if they made different, if they contain two different subunits, then the linkage will be very weak. Hence that linkage can be easily break down even by using the dilute acids also, right? So this is about the second class of the secondary metabolites, that is phenols. So last class and this class, what we understand is the largest class of the secondary metabolites, terpenes, biosynthetic pathways of the terpenes, the type of the terpenes, functions performed by the terpenes, and the second we are discussing about the phenols. What are phenols and what are their functions? And we understood. Now the third, another major class, which is called as nitrogen containing compounds, we are going to read it. In the July exam, they asked the question from terpene and phenol. They did not ask the question from the nitrogen containing compound. But before 2023 December paper, they raised the question in the nitrogen containing compounds. Again, this time there is a possibility that in the upcoming December exam, we can expect the questions from the nitrogen containing compounds. So every one of you try to understand that point very correctly. Okay. All right. Now let's focus on the concept very clearly without having a confusion. Okay. Now nitrogen containing compounds. This is also one of the most important topic, that most important subtopic that we all people has to focus. Here also lot of generalized information is present. I am requesting all of you to remember almost all the information without fail. Then tell me, why do we use the word called as a nitrogen containing compounds? What is the reason? Because if you observe the structure of this nitrogen containing compounds, in the ring, one or other position, listen my statements very correctly. In the ring, one or other position, nitrogen is present compulsory. Nitrogen is present compulsory. That's the reason only we call it as the nitrogen containing compounds. There is no point of getting confused over there. And the nitrogen containing compounds are broadly categorized into number 1, alkaloids, number 2, cyanogenic glycoside, number 3, glucosinolate, number 4, non-protein amino acids. All the 4 you have to remember, all the 4 we have to read maximum amount of information. What is the meaning of a non-protein amino acid? We will discuss it, which means that they never ever, either directly or indirectly, they never ever involved in the protein synthesis at all. They are not at all protein amino acids. Then what is the significance of this non-protein amino acid in the plant body? They are exclusively responsible only for the defense mechanism. I hope everyone is getting my point. They are exclusively responsible for what purpose? Only responsible for the defense mechanism. No point of getting confused over there, and it is easy to understand. All right. Okay, understand everyone. Among all the nitrogen containing compounds, which is the very largest nitrogen containing compounds, because there are total 4 categories are there. Among 4, the most important one and the largest of the nitrogen containing compound is alkaloids. Okay, very important. Remembering the characteristic features only important for the exam point of view. They are the large family of nitrogen containing secondary metabolites. There is no point of getting confused over there. Nitrogen is present in a heterocyclic ring which also contain what? Carbon atoms. What does it mean? All the students, please look into this structure correctly. In the ring, what you people can observe in the ring, at one or other position, nitrogen is present in the ring compulsory along with the carbons. That is the reason only we called it as nitrogen containing compounds. There is no point of getting confused over there, and it is very, very easy to understand also. All right, now all the students, please try to understand my points very correctly. Number 1, every student pay attention. Pyrrolidine alkaloids. What you people has to remember for the exam point of view. Listen all of you very correctly. Pyrrolidine alkaloid. What exactly you have to remember? You no need to focus on the structure unnecessarily. Don't waste the time. You remember name of the alkaloid, especially the biosynthetic precursor, example, as well as the human uses. Apart from this, there is no point of reading or remembering anything. Now, let's understand pyrrolidine alkaloid by using, listen everyone, because there is a great possibility that you people can expect the question in the in the matching section. Pyrrolidine alkaloid by using ornithine amino acid, by using ornithine as their precursor, it is going to give rise to nicotine. This is important. So you have to remember alkaloid class. That alkaloid is using which precursor and what kind it is giving rise to and what are their uses. That only you have to remember. And you generally know that alkaloids are basically, what we can say, nicotine basically act like a stimulant also. Nicotine act like a depressant also. At the same time, nicotine can also act like a tranquilizer also. There is no point of getting confused here. What's the difference between the stimulant, depressant and tranquilizer? See, stimulant means what, friends? Which enhances your mood, which stimulate the central nervous system, and depressant which depress or suppress the action of the central nervous system. I told you many times, nicotine is generally present where? In the tobacco. So whenever a person consumes a cigarette which contain tobacco contain the nicotine. So whenever they smoke one cigarette, generally it stimulates the central nervous system. But the person smoking 4 to 5 cigarettes in the span of 1 hour, so it never ever act like a stimulant, friends. Instead of acting like a stimulant, it starts acting like a depressant. There is no point of getting confused over there, and it is easy to understand. Okay, what are the exact, when the drug or the substance can act like stimulant, when the drug or substance act like a depressant? It is very simple point. All the student remember. Listen everyone. Any drug, you consider any drug which is acting on the central nervous system at low doses. Let me repeat my statement. Any drug that is acting on the central nervous system at low doses always act like a stimulant. Any drug which is acting on the central nervous system at a high doses, undoubtedly, friends, it act like a depressant. There is no point of getting confused over there. Okay, so it depending on their dose. And what we can call tranquilizer. Tranquilizer, generally we call it as the mood changer. What's the meaning of a Mood changer, friends. Mood changer means, the point is very simple. When the person smokes cigarette or when a person drink a coffee, his mood will be completely changed. So people will feel overstimulated, right? That is what exactly we can call the tranquilizer. Don't get confused, very important to remember for the exam point of view. More information, you focus on it. All right. So we understand the pyrrolidine. Second one, we understand the tropane alkaloid. Okay. What is this particular tropane alkaloid and what is their speciality? Listen all the students. Tropane alkaloid and what is their biosynthetic precursor? That is also ornithine. Listen all the students. Tropane given rise to the atropine as well as it is also given rise to the cocaine. Now all the students try to understand my point. What's the major function of the cocaine? Listen all of you. Cocaine basically act like a stimulant of the central nervous system. That is very correct. At the same time, friends, listen all of you. Cocaine act like a local anesthetic. Friends, what is the meaning of local anesthetic? You all people know very well, we read multiple times. There are two type of anesthetics are there. One is called as the general anesthetic and another one is generally called as the local anesthetic. First of all, what is the meaning of a anesthetic? Anesthetics are the drugs. I want every student has to answer my question. Anesthetics are the drugs which are helping or which are causing losing of the consciousness on that specific body part. In simple words, anesthetics are the drugs which help in losing the sensation. Now, what are general I'm sorry, what are the general and local anesthetics? Local anesthetics are the drugs which will help us to lose the sensation at one particular part of the body. Suppose example, friends, I am undergoing a heart surgery. I am undergoing a heart surgery. Whenever I am undergoing a heart surgery, in general, they will give the general anesthetic. As a result, entire my body lose the sensation. But suppose example, I am undergoing a surgery to my little finger. Hence, there is no point of allowing the entire body to lose the sensation. Instead, we will administer the anesthetic specifically to this particular area only. So that is what we can call as local anesthetic and general anesthetic, whereas cocaine can powerfully act like a local anesthetic only. Don't get confused here. Next one, another very important one, atropine. So friends, what is the speciality of this particular atropine? Don't get confused here, easy to understand. Atropine and cocaine. Listen all of you, please look into this. Atropine is involved in the prevention of intestinal spasm. Okay, friends, what is the full form of a spasm? Spasm means conduction. Spasm means conduction. You can generally call tightening of that specific muscle. Okay, suppose actually the muscles, suppose example, they are like this. Sometimes what happen, they become completely tight. When they become completely tight, it creates a great pain, right? So that is what we can call spasm, conduction or tightening of the muscle. So that conduction or tightening of the muscle can be prevented by this particular atropine. So prevention of the intestinal spasm, and very important, it is also acting like an antidote to the some poisons. I never ever say to any one of you that atropine is the powerful antidote. No, I cannot say that. I can say that atropine is one of the substance. That's all. One of the substance in the antidote. So suppose antidote is made up of 3 substances. Among the 3 substances, one of the substance is the atropine. I cannot say that the atropine is the powerful antidote. That is wrong statement, right? And next type of alkaloid that I want every student has to you have to remember all. There is no doubt about it. Then the next one I want you people to remember is the indole alkaloid. That is also very much important. Indole alkaloid, it is basically derived from where? It is basically derived from the precursor which is called as the tryptophan. Which is called as what? Tryptophan. There is no point of getting confused here. So listen, example are, tryptophan is going to give rise to psilocybin, reserpine and stretchinin. Another type of very important alkaloid where we use it to get the questions in the exam, that is isoquinoline. And this isoquinoline, it is actually using the tyrosine amino acid, because this also they will give in the exam directly in the matching questions. So that's why it is very important to remember the precursors compulsory for the exam. Isoquinoline uses the tyrosine as their major precursor. All the students understand. Going to give rise to the codeine and morphine. Very important. And what is so special about the codeine and morphine, friends? All the students listen my statements very correctly. Codeine and morphine, they are generally act like a powerful analgesics. And you people know very well what exactly analgesics are. Analgesics are the drugs which relieves us from the pain. Now, every student has to understand two important terms. There are two type of analgesics are there. One is called as the narcotic analgesics. Another one we call, friends, non-narcotic analgesics. What are the major differences between narcotic analgesics as well as the non-narcotic analgesics? What is the exact difference? Now all the students, please try to understand my statements very correctly. Narcotic analgesics are the drugs which relieves the pain, no doubt about it, but they are purely habit forming. They are purely habit forming or addictive drugs. What drugs they are? They are purely habit forming or the addictive drugs. No point of getting confused over there. And what about the non-narcotic analgesics? Non-narcotic analgesics are the drugs which are, they also relieve the pain, but they are not habit forming. They are not addictive drugs. Best example of the non-narcotic analgesics, all the students listen, we call it as NSAIDs. What are called as NSAIDs? Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. No point of getting confused, friends. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. You take a best example of paracetamol. You can take an aceclofenac. You can take a diclofenac. You can take a nimesulide. All this which we use it to take in our daily life. See, suppose you take the paracetamol today. Tomorrow you can easily survive without taking paracetamol because they are not habit forming. You never become addicted to that particular drug. But if you take a narcotic analgesic such as the morphine and codeine, they are very powerful. They basically causes addictions. They generally called what? Hallucinations. And they will also cause the depression. When they will cause the hallucinations, when you are taking the drug continuously, you will be under the hallucination condition. You never be in the real world. But when you stop taking the drug, all of a sudden you enter into the deep depression condition, right? Which also increases the suicidal tendencies. That's why all over the world these narcotic analgesics are strictly banned. But the point is here, even though they are very dangerous drugs, at low doses, whenever I use a word low dose, all the students remember, I am saying that it is called therapeutic dose. Whenever I am using a word called as low dose, we use it as a therapeutic dose. What do we call it as? A therapeutic dose. Don't get confused, friends. Now, therapeutic dose, it can cause a lot of good effects. You take an example, morphine only. Morphine exclusively used during the labor time. During the time of a delivery, because of the uterus contraction by the oxytocin, it gives an unbearable pressure that sometimes doctors will give very low doses of the morphine. So as a result, morphine can easily reduces the pain. Morphine can easily reduces the pain. There is no point of getting confused over there, and it is extremely easy to understand also. Right. So sometimes only, and right, codeine. Codeine can act like antitussive. What is the meaning of a antitussive? Listen all of you. Antitussives are the drug which basically relieve us from the cough. Okay, now you all people very commonly know that what is the speciality of this cough syrup. Cough syrup generally contain the codeine phosphate. That is the reason how we feel. We generally feel sedation. What is actually sedation? Sedation means sleep. That's the reason when we take even one tablespoon of the cough syrup also, we feel very sleepy. Why? Because the side effects are sedation. Anyway, you know very well, nowadays we are getting the cough syrup which do not contain codeine phosphate as their active ingredients, because in the children it is showing a greater effects, side effects. That's the reason, especially the cough syrups which are used by the children, we are producing the cough syrup which do not contain the codeine phosphate as their active ingredient. There is no point of getting confused over there, friends, and it is easy to understand also. Okay, the same thing, let's understand little bit elaboratively. Again and again and again I am telling you, even though you read 10 times this topic, you will forget some of the valuable information. So I am requesting everyone, try to remember it instead of reading for multiple times. Try to remember. That's more important here. Nicotine. Okay, what is actually the nicotine? Nicotine is an alkaloid. We just now discussed, right? Derived from ornithine. Friends, look into this. This is the simplest ring of the nicotine. What you can observe, it contains pyridine ring and it contains pyrrolidine ring. This pyrrolidine ring came from ornithine, and this particular pyridine ring, it is derived from the niacin. No point of getting confused at all. One is niacin and one is the ornithine. In multiple lessons, we all people usually to read nicotine can act as an active constituent. Nicotine can act as an active constituent of NAD plus and NADP plus. There is no point of getting confused over there. I believe you all remember, right? They are all act like a reducing equivalent, and I believe you all remember they are act like a electron carriers in the electron transport chain. I believe you all people remember about that. Don't get confused. So now I hope you all get this kind of a wonderful question. What is that question that you have to get in your mind? If these alkaloids, if they are extremely toxic in nature, that's a very good question. If all these alkaloids are extremely toxic in nature, again is the herbivores, why they want to show any toxicity against the plants? Because they are present in the plants only and they are showing their action against the herbivore and pathogen, then why they can't show their action on the plants? The reason is that on the plants, whenever they are present in the plants, they are extremely inactive in nature. Whenever they are present in the plants, what you people have to observe, they are extremely inactive in nature. There is no point of getting confused over there. Okay, so there are some plants such as lupins, larkspur, groundsel. You can see this. Anyway, these kind of plants we don't see in our normal ecosystem. Sometimes you can see in a deep grassland ecosystems, you can see this. or even in the forest ecosystem also you can observe that. Lupin, groundsel, larkspur, these are the plants which are rich of the alkaloids. If a herbivore or a human start consuming these kind of alkaloids, obviously it causes a lot of problems, especially they can leads to the several cardiovascular diseases. Don't get confused with that. And some of the alkaloids like a cocaine, nicotine, caffeine, they are having certain other non-medical applications also. And just now we discussed morphine and codeine can act like a powerful analgesics which are used in the medicine. Don't get confused over there. Now question is super clear. How exactly an alkaloid will start showing their mechanism? This is an important point. Listen, directly they can ask the question in the exam. Every single alkaloid generally block neurotransmitters. This also they can raise a direct question in the exam, friends. Every alkaloid acting on the neurotransmitter transport, they will act on the membrane transport, they will block the translation, they will block several enzymatic activities in the herbivore body or pathogenic body. That is how the alkaloid shows their mechanism of action. Now question is super clear. Now this particular alkaloids are generally, every student listen, they are generally present as N-oxides. N-oxides means what, friends? They are extremely non-toxic in nature. They are extremely non-toxic in nature whenever they are present in the plant. But whenever a herbivore comes and start eating the plant, then non-toxic form can be converted into the toxic form. Then only they can show their mechanism. No point of getting confused. Generally in the plant they are non-toxic, but they become toxic whenever it is crushed by the herbivore. Alright, is it clear everyone till this particular slide? In the tomorrow class we will complete this and we will start discussing the another very important topic, that is the nitrogen metabolism. Is it clear everyone? Anyone having any kind of a doubt, please ask. Requesting everyone, please join at 10:45 a.m. Okay, don't miss it. We will solve some of the questions asked in the 2024 December paper also. Sorry, July paper. Okay, join everyone sharp 10:45. Alright, if anyone having any doubts, you can ask me. Alright, thank you. Join sharp 10:45.